Retirement readiness is about more than a target number in your IRA. You need a comprehensive financial plan and a series of supporting plans to know when you're ready financially, emotionally, and pragmatically. Knowing the numbers is certainly important, but aspiring retirees should look beyond the numbers to be sure they're ready to leave a career and explore whatever's next. In this video, I'll walk you through my retirement readiness checklist so you can retire securely and with confidence. And stick around for number 5 because it's the one that might put you back in the workforce. Hi, I'm Craig from Retire Before Dad, and I help DIY investors plan for a secure and vibrant retirement. I'm a DIY investor myself since 1995, and I've been writing about retirement for the past decade. When I think about retirement readiness for DIY investors, the numbers are definitely critical to know when you have enough money to retire or when you are able to retire. But it's important to address some of the more pragmatic items on this list that are often forgotten about until either after you've left your career or later in retirement. I've broken this checklist into 6 categories or supporting plans that fit into one comprehensive retirement plan. We'll start with the money. The first item on my retirement readiness checklist is a financial plan. Do you have enough money to retire, or do you know when you will have enough money to retire? This is not a guessing game. It's a sophisticated calculation, and it evolves for the rest of your life. Sure, you can make a ballpark estimate using the 4% or 5% rule of thumb, or run it through a spreadsheet to identify a target level of assets. But if you're going at it alone, you should be more thorough and create a financial plan using DIY planning software. Now, you may have a great spreadsheet, and it might have been good enough in the past, but over the past few years, DIY planning software has gotten incredibly powerful, easy to use, affordable, and the spreadsheets just can't keep up. Some important factors to consider in your financial plan include income sources. What's your drawdown plan? Do you have a pension? How does Social Security fit in? Maybe you have some side income. How much money do you expect to spend monthly and annually? And how does that change from your working years and into retirement, and then later into retirement as you get older? Think about large one-time expenses. Maybe you want to remodel your home or buy a new home. How will taxes impact your plan? The software will help you figure all of this out. So I recommend a few DIY planning tools. The first is Boldin, and this is a more established and comprehensive tool that's intuitive to use. You can connect your bank and brokerage accounts, and it updates automatically, or you can do manual updates. So I've been using this tool since 2017, and it keeps getting better. The second one is ProjectionLab. This has more of a modern freestyle feel to it with slick visualizations and a net worth tracker that I really like. It's also more of a manual tool. You don't connect to your external accounts. So these are the same types of tools that a financial advisor would use to plan out your financial life. But instead of paying an advisor thousands of dollars for a printed plan once a year, make your own for much less money and update it as often as you like. The second item on my retirement readiness checklist is a health plan. Maintaining good health in retirement is important for enjoying retirement, increasing longevity, and keeping healthcare costs down. The first thing to tie down is where will you acquire your healthcare insurance. This is especially important for people that retire before the age of 65. They might get it from a former employer or the ACA marketplace or wherever you can get your insurance. After age 65, Medicare kicks in, but you still have to figure out what supplemental insurance you're going to use. You also want to think about personal health. How are you going to stay fit and avoid injuries in retirement? Will there be any costs associated with a healthier lifestyle, like a gym membership or fresh food options? Maybe you might want to hire a personal trainer to keep you motivated. Does your spouse prioritize healthy living, or do you have friends that you can stay healthy with? Long-term care is another piece of the health puzzle that you need to pay attention to, and the earlier you address it, the better. So you're not making hasty decisions when you hit a health issue or someone needs to go into an assisted living facility. Number 3 on my retirement readiness checklist is a housing plan. Your comprehensive retirement plan should also address your long-term housing needs as a top priority. Housing needs can definitely change over the course of your retirement, so think about the different scenarios long before they happen. A retirement housing plan has 3 components, in my view: suitability, the financial aspect of it, how are you going to pay for it, and then all the stuff. And when it comes to suitability, my parents lived in their first house for 50 years, and that was too long. There was stairs, there was yard work, and a steep driveway that was treacherous in the winter months. Thankfully, they moved into something more suitable before they really hit any major mobility issues. But you want to think about your own housing situation, and is it suitable for the rest of your life? Are you where you want to be? Are you near family? Are you in the community you want to be in? Because your needs change in 10, 20, and 30 years. What if you're hit with a sudden mobility issue? Stairs or a steep driveway can be an immediate problem. Is there a bathroom on the first floor for guests who have mobility issues? So you might be comfortable in your home today, and you might even think 10 years from now it's going to be the right house for you. But your retirement could last 30 or 40 years, and the house may not be set up for someone who's elderly and has mobility issues or handicap issues. So that's something to think about long before you get to the point where you have to move. The housing situation can also change if one spouse passes. Will the surviving spouse stay in the home? Is it still suitable? Is it near family for support? The second piece of the housing puzzle is the financial aspect. And this ties into the financial plan, of course. So how are you planning to pay for housing? Are you going to rent? Are you going to own? Will you maintain a mortgage in retirement? Can you afford your current housing situation without a salary? How are you going to pay for future housing? Or maybe you're planning to downsize or upside or move locations. These are all issues to address before you retire if possible, but certainly early on in retirement. The third piece of the housing plan is all the stuff planning. So all of our possessions eventually can become a burden. And one of the main reasons my parents didn't want to move is they didn't want to address all the stuff that they had accumulated in their house over 50 years. So what do you plan to do with all the stuff in your house? What if you become unable to deal with it? Who's going to deal with it then? So if you don't deal with the stuff while you're relatively young and healthy, that task is going to fall on a loved one. Is that the legacy you want to leave? A house full of stuff that your kids don't want? To clean that out, they might need to take a week or two off just to get through all the stuff and sell it and get rid of it. So I think this is a major issue that a lot of retirees don't think about, how they're going to address all the stuff in their house. Downsizing can definitely help. So when you move or downsize, it's an opportunity to clear out all the stuff so that someone else doesn't have to deal with it. Number 4 on my retirement readiness checklist is a spending plan. This one also ties closely to the financial plan because you can't know how much you need to save to retire unless you know how much you're expected to spend. So are you doing a budget before retirement? If so, then you'll want to continue that into retirement. I know a lot of you don't like budgeting or you don't feel it's necessary, but you need to know your total annual expenses at a minimum. Pen and paper are fine, or spreadsheets are actually pretty good at budgeting, but there's also software for this. I use one called Lunch Money. Monarch Money is another popular one. But other issues to think about in your spending plan: are there any big ticket items that are going to hit you at a certain period of time? Some retirees are still paying for their kids' college in retirement. There might be home repairs or upgrades. Maybe there's a health procedure that you're planning to pay for, or it's always good to prepare for unknown emergency expenses. Since retirement can last 20 or 30 years or more, retirees often find that they spend more in the earlier years of retirement, maybe because they're traveling or doing something, but spend less over time on day-to-day costs as they get older, yet healthcare costs tend to rise. So putting together a spending plan with your estimates of how much you expect to spend starting in year 1 and how that's going to grow or decrease over time, these are all very important aspects of the comprehensive retirement plan. The other piece of the spending plan is the drawdown plan and the mechanics of where you're going to get your money, how you're going to pull that out of your retirement accounts. What are you planning to sell in which accounts, and what's the order of that drawdown strategy? The DIY planning software is very good at optimizing this. Number 5 on my retirement readiness checklist is an activity plan. Some younger retirees can stop working and then they find out that they miss work and they want to go back. Develop hobbies and interests while you're working, and so that when you retire, you have something you can focus on. Without activities, you're going to become bored and uninspired, which can lead to a lack of fulfillment. In your working years, do you envision yourself watching TV and doom scrolling on social media, or do you want to be out there active in your community? Keeping both your mind and your body active contributes to greater happiness and longevity. The first bucket item I think about in retirement is retirement travel. And the sooner you travel, the better. I've spoken to a lot of older retirees who aren't healthy enough to travel anymore. They wish they traveled more when they were younger, and by the time they're into their mid-70s or 80s, it just becomes too uncomfortable to travel, or they're just not healthy enough. You also want to prioritize more rugged travel. If you have any sort of rugged places that you want to visit that aren't as comfortable as, say, luxury resorts in Europe, then put that on your list first and go tackle those immediately out of the retirement gate. Luxury can definitely wait. I know my parents have gone through this. They did some travel when they were younger in retirement, but they wish they had done more. And then at some point, and this is true among all their friends, at some point the health kicks in and certain types of travel just become limited from either mobility or you have a lot of doctor's office visits that you need to make, or just it makes it really hard to fit into a schedule. So upon retirement, once you have that free time, go out there, see the world so you don't have any regrets later in life. Many retirees prioritize volunteering in retirement, and that's great as long as you set up some guardrails for yourself and you're always enjoying it and it doesn't start to feel like a job. Some retirees may choose to work in retirement, and that sounds counterintuitive, but a lot of people find enjoyment in work and earning a little bit of extra money. Retirement's also a time people want to start a business. Running a business can be very rewarding and it helps financially. And when you have that retirement nest egg sort of backstopping your idea, some retirees may feel comfortable taking the risk that comes with starting a business. And last in our activity plan is community. Are you happy where you are, or are you thinking about relocating? Certainly, if you're going to stay in your community where you're established, that's going to be easy to prioritize spending time with your friends and volunteering or working or whatever you're going to do. But if you have plans to relocate in retirement, what's your plan to assimilate into the community? Do you do that through the church or through a retirement center? So community is a big part of that activity plan. So you know where you're going to find that community and the fulfillment that you can get there and healthy relationships before you enter retirement. Number 6 and last on my retirement readiness checklist is a legacy plan. Retirement is a time to thrive and enjoy yourself, but it's also a chance to reflect on your life and consider your lasting impact on family, community, and the world. The person you are during retirement may be the person who will be most remembered. So live each day with that in mind. Tactically, you want to have a comprehensive estate plan. Streamline your financial life going into retirement so you don't leave a sloppy estate. A sloppy estate is more complex and it's expensive if your heirs need to manage it. There was a recent Wall Street Journal article where the husband passed away unexpectedly and his wife had to figure out his financial situation. And it started with this messy spreadsheet that only he could ever understand. He had accounts all over the place and he had a couple different advisors. It took her about a year, but she figured it out with the help of an advisor, which gave her some comfort, but also meant it was going to be a lot more expensive for her. He didn't have a plan to set her up for success if he were to pass away unexpectedly, which is what happened. The husband spent most of his time on the money, and his wife just never had an interest in learning what was there. So it took her time and stress, and ultimately it took some money, so someone's managing that money for her. So don't leave a sloppy estate as your legacy. Work with an estate planner after simplifying your finances and make sure everything is in one place and something that you can share with your spouse or your children to make sure that they know what kind of assets you have. And get that all in order long before you enter retirement if possible. While you're in retirement, it's a chance to refine your estate plan and simplify things even more. Another piece of your legacy could be all the stuff in your house. We talked about that earlier. You don't want to leave a house full of stuff to your kids or whoever's going to manage your estate. You can reduce the stuff by just addressing one closet or one drawer at a time. And while you're in retirement, when you have free time, that's the time to address the garage or the shed. Clean it out while you're still healthy so someone else doesn't have to. Your legacy plan can also involve financial donations to your favorite charities. Maybe the place that you volunteer also takes financial donations. And that's great, but make sure you're planning for that and make sure you're directing those funds in that estate plan. Finally, do you want to leave a financial legacy? Are you planning to leave an inheritance to your children or your grandchildren? So that's something you can build into your financial plan, and the DIY planning tools will help you do that. Early retirement is the time to be thinking about that, not when you're on your deathbed. In this video, I talked about the 6 components of my retirement readiness checklist. It starts with the financial plan, but goes beyond money to address the other items that you need to prioritize. Now, I've done some previous videos where I've demonstrated how to use some of these DIY planning tools for budgeting and for long-term planning. So if you're watching on YouTube, just click one of the thumbnails above, or you can click the links in the description below. That's all for this video. I'm Craig from Retire Before Dad. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.